Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
They're competitors. They'll want to put the O on.
Three. Got it.
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound. Up and in. 1 point more to go.
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field. Back toward the wall. Gone.
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome inside the Duck Insider Studios. Brought to you, as always, by On Point Community Credit Union. I'm Jordan Brenner here hosting today. We'll hear from Coach Dan Lanning and student-athletes from the Oregon football team, including Bennett Williams, Bo Nix, and Alex Forsyth, following the loss against Georgia this past Saturday. Additionally, we'll hit on Oregon soccer and Oregon volleyball. Some good things for those programs who played 2 games each at home here in Eugene this weekend. We'll start with football. Obviously not the start to the season that anybody was hoping for. Turnovers, not finishing possessions, tackling. It wasn't great. But the head coach of the Ducks has a lot more to say about that than me. So let's go to Dan Lanning following that big loss to Georgia on Saturday.
Tough game, obviously. Really, credit to Georgia. They did a phenomenal job preparing their team for us. They outcoached us. They outplayed us today. They did a really good job. That being said, I think our players, that locker room's hurting a little bit, but they're ready for an opportunity to grow, anxious to get back on the practice field. Certainly a lot of things that we can clean up and fix. We talk about game ones. It comes down to turnovers. It comes down to penalties. It comes down to missed tackles, and we really lost a lot of those battles tonight. Didn't have a lot of success stopping them. They did a really good job on the perimeter, and their players played really well. Stetson played really well. They have good guys, and you can't afford to play poorly against a good team. So that showed up today.
Dan, when you guys speak about not beating yourselves, 2 interceptions, particularly the second one when it's a 14-point game and you guys are heading into the red zone there at that point, and that swings, and then 9 of 10 on third down, when that was such a point of emphasis in terms of not beating yourselves, and would you argue that you really did beat yourselves there when it was competitive?
Yeah, both those things obviously really hurt us. The takeaways were bad, and they dominated us on third down. We just weren't able to get off the field. Obviously, the takeaways, that was the second takeaway is one that Bo would certainly want back. They were playing buzz coverage into a quads look and forced the throw we don't need to force. Bo knows that. He knows that the minute he walked off the field. On third down, we have to do a better job, preparing our guys. They got the ball on the perimeter, and we didn't have great answers for it.
And on the coaches show, you mentioned, I think, missed tackles, penalties, and turnovers are the 3 things early that show up. I think all those things bit you early. Kind of, what's the teaching moment there in terms of, correcting tackles in particular? Yeah,
I think, the biggest thing really for our team is seeing that. We got to go back and be great self-evaluators. We got to go pull up the film and evaluate exactly how we performed. I think every one of our players will tell you they have more in the tank and they can do a little bit better. Same with our coaching staff. This is 100% on me and our coaching staff to do a better job preparing our guys. But we have to create those moments in practice. If you don't do it in practice, it's not going to show up in the game. So we can do it better in practice.
You just said it was kind of a tough locker room in there, but I'm just curious, how are you feeling? Especially with all the lead up to this game, like people have been talking about it for months. Just, how did it feel to meet Kirby midfield there and just have this one under your belt now?
Yeah, everybody knows I have a ton of respect for Kirby. I told our coaching staff before this morning, before we ever played the game, we had a staff meeting. I said every single one of our goals is going to be ahead of us, regardless of how this game comes out, right? So win, loss, draw, every one of our goals is still right here in front of us. Our players feel the exact same way. Tough locker room because we have competitors, right? Not a bad locker room, a tough locker room because we have competitors that want to win, and those guys are hungry to go get better. I think if you asked our players right now, they'd go right back out to the practice field today, right? Because they want to compete. There was no quit in them, but certainly getting to go against a good team, it's a great gauge of where you're at, and they're a good team.
Coach, you kept the quarterback competition pretty hush-hush. You go with Bo. You kept him in there the entire time, even as the point spread started to jump away from you. Can you just kind of speak to what you saw in camp from Bo and the reason you kept him in for the entire game today?
Yeah, Bo's a leader, and I think if you go back and look at our offense, they really moved the ball. Well, we just didn't cap off our drives. Obviously the turnovers is something we don't want to have, but we moved the ball down the field at times. We just didn't finish drives. You get down to the red area, you got to go score touchdowns, not kick for field goals. We had a couple chances down there that we didn't capitalize. Bo's going to go evaluate himself. We have other quarterbacks on our team that obviously can compete as well, but Bo's our quarterback. Bo did a good job today of handling some adverse situations, but he's also going to figure out how can he improve, right? Just like we can as a staff.
Yeah, quick follow-up. You had plenty of conversations with the players coming off the field after touchdowns given up to Georgia. Can you just talk about what you were, saying to guys like Noah Sewell and stuff as they're coming off the field feeling kind of defeated?
Yeah, I love you, buddy. I'm proud to be your coach. That doesn't us playing poorly doesn't change the way I feel about you. Doesn't change the way that I want these guys to feel about the direction of our program where we're going. And Noah, the composure of our guys throughout that game, even though playing poorly, was at next level. Those guys handled it well. We're not satisfied. We got to go get better. We got to go improve. But like I said, every one of those guys is ready to do that.
Dan, can you talk a bit about the scheme in terms of what you wanted to take away? It looked like Stetson had to make some plays. One, he scrambled, got loose, threw a touchdown. Another one, a pretty deep third down out route. Looked like you forced him into some things. And also, Brock Bowers was relatively held in check. How much of a priority was that for your defense?
Yeah, we certainly emphasized Brock. I think Stetson did a good job of being able to move the ball, on the perimeter, and he's elusive. So even when you do pressure at times, you're not able to always get home. I felt like we wanted to do a good job of making sure the ball got out, outside. Unfortunately, they were able to get it outside, and they won on the perimeter, more than we won on the perimeter. So we have to do a better job of recreating that in practice for us. But they had a lot of success, and that's credit to them.
What did you learn about your team in terms of how they match up with the best? The talent on that side, coming off a lopsided game like this. Where do you feel like they are relative to where you guys want to get to?
Yeah, I'm taking our team. I'm taking our players. We have to do a better job of coaching our guys, and growing them and develop them. But let's not discredit Georgia. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of talent. They've been recruiting there and building a program for a long time. I won't take anything away from them, but we have guys that we can play winning football with, and we have to grow this team to do that.
Dan, in a game like this, what are some of the positives that you can take away from this experience?
You're really going to have to go back and look at the film. I think one of the biggest positives, like I said, is we have a locker room that's hungry to go get better. There's not a bunch of finger pointing going on in there. You don't see guys throwing trash cans. That's not the team that we have. You have a team that's frustrated that wants to improve, but I think we walked away saying, okay, how can we get better?
Dan, in sticking with Bo, particularly late in the fourth quarter, why not go to tie? What would it take, basically, for a fan base is going to ask, they wanted to see tie at times even last season, but in terms of, even just today, all right, maybe not every mistake, every issue is Bo's fault, certainly, but why not go to tie? What would it take to turn to tie in a game at this point?
Yeah, I just think we wanted to get our offense an opportunity to get a drive and get in some rhythm there. Obviously they moved the ball down the field there on that last drive. We didn't capitalize it with a score, but give them an opportunity to get in rhythm and get a feel for the game. We've got a lot more football games to prepare for beyond this one, and just moving on just in this game wasn't the only answer. It was grow as a team right now for the next game here.
Take two more, Matt.
Dan, you mentioned there's areas for you guys to improve. I realize maybe you haven't watched the film yet, but off the field immediately, what are those areas that come to mind that you feel like there needs to be a jump between now and week 2?
I think we need to create some more explosives offensively, and then defensively we have to stop those, but we have to tackle much better. We didn't tackle well enough on the perimeter. We didn't get off the blocks well on the perimeter. I think they were able to, take advantage of some of our rush. When we rushed up the field, they were able to put the ball back behind us, and we got to do a good job of retracing with relentless pursuit on defense. Obviously, third down, kind of on both sides. I think we were a little bit better on offense than we were on defense. We weren't good at all right now today on defense. So that's going to be an emphasis for us.
Does that surprise you defensively that you guys weren't good on third down?
They're a good team. Do we want to play better? Absolutely. We didn't play as well as we want, but again, credit to them for having a good plan and doing a good job.
Last question there.
It's also, an indication of when you talk about third and short compared to third and long, it's a little easier to convert.
Are there moments in your career, right here, in terms of, this is obviously a shortcoming, a tough loss. Are there moments, obviously not as a head coach, that you can draw from in terms of how to respond and what the next couple of days look like, and maybe walk us through one of those early on in your career when you weren't a head coach?
Yeah, I've been a part of a lot of wins. I've also been a part of a lot of losses, right? And I've seen great coaches handle situations like this before. You know, I was part of one of these last year. Now, we felt pretty disheveled last year walking off an SEC championship game that we didn't win and didn't play well, and we turned that into an opportunity to get a lot better, right? So I've seen the best do it, whether it be Coach Smart or Coach Saban or any other coach. We got to take our team, look for our opportunities to improve, and guess what? Regardless of the result today, we would have to do the same thing. Right, it's about what can you go fix and how can you improve.
Just heard from the head coach of Oregon football, Dan Lanning, following that big loss to Georgia on Saturday. How does this team respond? That's going to be a big question. That's the key to the week, the theme of the week. We'll hear from student athletes the remainder of this show. Dan Lanning speaking to the media again tonight. We'll have that audio for you tomorrow after the coaching staff had a chance to sit down and watch that film. It's game week. We're opening at Autzen this weekend against Eastern Washington at 5:30 p.m. Hope to see you there. Not just the home opener, but the reopening of the Mashofsky Center should be a really celebratory type of day in Eugene that we're looking forward to. Let's get a break. We'll recap volleyball and soccer after this and hear from Bo Nix on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Chris Jakimick, I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA, is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families, and one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider here on the Oregon Sports Network, as always brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. Outside of football, there were a couple other programs in action this weekend here in Eugene. How about the volleyball program going 2-0 at Matthew Knight Arena? Yesterday, they won a 5-set thriller. Actually, this was Saturday where Oregon Volleyball won a 5-set thriller. And after the weekend, well, the Ducks showing up in the top 25 rankings, all the way up at number 18. It was a gritty win against Rice there. A 5-set victory. Oregon lost the first set. They lost the fourth set. But the second and third set they win. And then in the fifth decisive set, the Ducks hit .458, closed the deal. They won that set 15-1, led by a senior outside hitter in Brooke Nuneviller. She was great both ways. 20 kills, 15 digs. That was the 50th double-double of her career, one of the greats to ever play volleyball here at Oregon. She was also one of 3 Ducks with a double-double against Rice. joined by Mimi Collier, that superstar freshman, had 12 kills and 11 digs, and the transfer setter, Hannah Pukas, had 52 assists and a career-high 24 digs. Also pretty cool story for the freshman middle blocker Colby Neal, starting to grow into her own. She put down a season-high 12 kills and hit .421 in that 5-set win against Rice. And, well, the Ducks, they got a big week upcoming. On the 9th, they play against the number 3 team in the country, Minnesota, and then right after that, they play the 20th ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. So it's about to get really serious for Oregon women's volleyball. There were a lot of great moments in this match, but none were greater than this unbelievable rally. This was a long highlight, and we'll go to it here.
Leading the number 18 Oregon Ducks 1-0 in this match, and here in set number 2. Nonavilla receives the serve, quickly a set to the left side. Rutieri the swing as Rice got it over. Oregon trying to save it as Georgia Murphy got it over on a free ball. Odakomle a swing, a free ball back over, paddled around by the Ducks. Collier a swing from the left side, and she gets the kill.
Special play there by Georgia Murphy in Oregon volleyball. This team has gone through some bumps early on in the season, but they're still unbeaten. And one thing that I take away is that, well, when the going has gotten tough in the 5th set, this team has played their best volleyball, and the same was true against Rice as they improved their record. Oregon soccer, meanwhile, they went 0-1-1 in their 2 games in Eugene this weekend. They tied with Texas. That was a gritty win. They were especially terrific in the second half with a 78th minute goal from Jordan Snyder. She scored again yesterday, but that was the lone tally for Oregon in a 3-1 loss against Boise State. Quite frankly, the Broncos jumped Oregon at Pape Field. They got ahead 2-0, and boy, being there in person for that one, there must have been 2 or 3 shots from Oregon players that could have gone in, that hit the post. It was just one of those days for Oregon soccer. A couple plays go differently. I think the entire landscape of this game changes, and we'll talk about that with Graeme Abel coming up here in about 20 minutes or so. 3-1 loss for Oregon soccer. They play on Thursday again, welcoming in Santa Clara, a team that struggled this year. But remember, just 2 years ago, that Santa Clara team won the national championship. That'll be a fun one to go to if you're in town before the Ducks hit the road after that. So Oregon soccer losing 3-1. We're going to continue on talking with some Oregon football players after that loss to Georgia this past weekend. We'll go to the starting quarterback, Bo Nix, who spoke to the media after that loss.
Yeah, we had a good play called, and they rolled right into it, and bad decision.
Oh, thanks. Bo, obviously that's a Georgia program that you've seen a couple times. Same old Georgia, or did you see some different things out of Kirby's defense?
It was same Georgia. I've seen a lot of those looks. They're just really good at the point of attack, really good playing the ball, really good at tackling. It's just tough to move the ball on those guys.
Bo, 2 turnovers on offensive drives. When you're moving the ball, you're getting closer to scoring position. Can you kind of just take us what's going through your mind after those 2 turnovers? Did you feel defeated? What were the conversations with Dan like?
Well, the first one, I feel like the guy made a great play. The second one, obviously, a bad decision. So stuff like that happens. Unfortunately, it was on back-to-back drives, and that can't happen on first down. But my coaches were very encouraging. They kept me in the game. And in the situation like that, you just can't be defeated by it. You got to move on to the next play and just do better.
2-part question here. First off, just about this fall camp and competing and winning the job, and then the second one, just a self-evaluation on how you thought you performed overall today.
Well, first off, I got to give credit to Ty. He did a great job. Both really good competitions. What was your other part of the question?
Just a self-evaluation.
I feel like after the spring and summer, you're more consistent with the offense. You get it a little bit more being in a new system. And then the relationship with the receivers and tight ends is obviously really good through fall camp. And then it's just all about competing and just enjoying the time out there and making good decisions and moving the ball.
Bo, there was so much focus on this game for months and months and months and months and months. Is there an element of just being kind of relieved to be on the other side of it and be able to get back to work? And what's kind of number one on the to-do list for you when you guys get back to Eugene?
Well, it's unfortunate the opportunities passed, and it wasn't a different outcome. Obviously, you hate losing, but yeah, you got to move past it. We've got a long season ahead. Got a lot of football left to play, so we're just going to look forward to that, get better, go back tomorrow and work, and see what happens.
You mentioned earlier coaches leaving you in the game. You don't typically see a lopsided game like that, the quarterback stay in. What did it mean to stay in, and do you think that last drive was something to build off of?
Absolutely. I think it's just obviously their decision. We just want to see our compete and how we responded in that kind of adversity, and it showed a lot about our team. We continued to battle, and I mean, that game was tough. I'm not going to lie to you. It wasn't pretty. I can't sit up here and say it was. Can't really say much about it. I mean, obviously, it is what it is. They beat us pretty bad.
Bo, Dan has talked a lot about so what, now what, when adversity hits you guys. How important is that message right now, and how important is what comes the next couple of weeks for what this team wants to accomplish?
Yeah, that message is right now. That's why he says it's for opportunities like this. We got to come back next week, face the next opponent, and keep building on our season.
Bo, you guys converted pretty well on third down and had your own moments during the game. Just what did you think of Kenny Dillingham's play call and that offensive flow that you had?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the game, we moved the ball, especially early, and obviously turnovers got us, and just some key third downs we didn't make to continue moving the ball, but I felt like a third down plan was important for us. We stressed that a lot, and we ended up that was one area we did well.
Just heard from the quarterback of the Oregon Ducks, Bo Nix, speaking with the media after the loss to Georgia. We'll take a break, and when we come back, Alex Forsyth and Bennett Williams break it down for you here. We're coming back to the Country Financial Studio after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Now's the time to visit your local Toyota dealer and find yourself in a stylish and fuel-saving RAV4, Corolla, or Camry. Or climb behind the wheel of the rugged Tundra, Tacoma, and more. Toyota's national sales event is on. Toyota, let's go places.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
Now's the time to visit your local Toyota dealer and find yourself in a stylish and fuel-saving RAV4, Corolla, or Camry. Or climb behind the wheel of the rugged Tundra, Tacoma, and more. Toyota's national sales event is on. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
It's time for today's STEM tip. Okay, you know recycling is important. No one wants plastic in the ocean. Here's a cool way to repurpose a plastic bottle. Build an awesome terrarium. Cut a large plastic bottle in half and fill the base with sand, pebbles, potting soil, and your favorite plant. I chose an African violet. Put the top of the bottle over your base and place it in the sun. Your plant will grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Fun, right? Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
Happy you're with us here on a Monday afternoon. We're in the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. We heard from Bo Nix. We heard from Dan Lanning. Now a couple of players who I think are leaders in the locker room. Bennett Williams and Alex Forsyth. They sat on the podium together to answer some tough questions, and here they are.
Bennett, when you look at the box score in particular, but even just going through the game itself, when it's 9 of 10 on third down, what's going through your mind as that number just keeps getting away from you guys and they just keep converting each time you get the third down?
Next play. Yeah, a lot of stuff today that just kept repeating itself. They obviously had a game plan to attack the perimeter, and we did not do well enough at all. We started to know what was coming, and you know, they executed and we didn't, bottom line.
For Alex, Georgia obviously had a lot of new personnel on their defensive front. Can you just give us some insight into what they were doing to be effective?
Yeah, they were, trying to mix up the fronts a little bit, gave us some exotic looks. Coach Clem prepared us all week for pretty much everything we were going to see. Just trusted our rules, but at the end of the day, it wasn't anywhere near good enough.
Alex, you said during media days this year that you had been thinking about those final 2 games of the off season or of last season and how much they left a memory in your brain. Just how does that feel in context of this game now and kind of having a similar result as those 2 games?
Yeah, I hate losing. There's no moral victories in losing. There's no small victories. It's, we got to get back to work. You got to be grown men about it. And you got to, take the medicine when you look on the film. Hey, I need to do better. We all need to do better, and we got to find that. Not shy away from it. Not pretend like it's not there. You got to go attack it head on. And that's the only way we're going to improve. So we got to really, take control of this team and make sure everybody knows that 100%. That once we land in Eugene, it's short memory. So what now? What?
Alex, no touchdowns scored today. We can dig into the box score and take out whatever we want to, but from an offensive lineman, what do you think is the biggest thing that you guys have to improve on as a unit from week 1 into week 2?
Establishing the run game, being able to, get to that early and, have them trust us to, put the game kind of on our backs. We're a bunch of vets up there. We just didn't do a good enough job today. Obviously, the score, says that too. So we just got to be better and pretty much, being able to take over a game and being able to run the ball and just execute the plays. That's all it is.
It's just a pretty simple one, Alex. Is that the best team you've played against? And like how just actually seeing that physicality after people have been talking about it for months, like what was it actually like playing in that game?
Yeah, I think you've had this game circled on the calendar since the end of last year. I know I have. So I think through all fall camp, just kind of peeking at film and seeing what we were gonna go up against, and they're obviously a really, really great team, really talented, played really hard, played smart. I don't know what their penalties were, but I don't think they had a whole lot of them. So yeah, they were a really good team, and they were really, really talented up front.
Bennett, does a loss like this create any doubt just about this team and the direction or anything like that?
No. No, and I'm sure there's guys right on the team where doubt starts to creep in, but that's our job as leaders to help them understand that we are a really good team. Like, we didn't show it today, yeah, and Georgia was obviously really good, right? We didn't play like we were supposed to, and it got out of hand. The score shows that. But we just have to go to the next game. That's one loss, right? I know the score says 49-3, but it counts as one loss, whether we lost by a point or lost by that much, right? So now we're on to the next game, and we need, our job as leaders and all of us to make sure that we're on to the next game. So what now, like you said earlier.
Following on that for both of you guys, you are two of the older players. You are two of the leaders of this team. You talk about being a player-led team. No matter how much you may not like it and I may not like it, we live in a world in college football where what's going to be said in the next 72 hours is that you guys are out of the playoff already, that there's no way, that the best you guys can do is win the league, a Rose Bowl, maybe, and that's it. As older guys who've been through it and have seen it, how do you prevent that message that's going to be said in the national conversation all week from permeating and being the, all right, what are we playing for all season for the next 3 months?
Yeah, I think, we just got to reiterate to the guys that there's not one person that's on the college football playoff. There's not one person that ranks these teams that will ever play it down for Oregon football. The only people I care about are behind that door, and that's the only people that are really going to, make a difference this season. So just continue to block out the outside noise. They're going to try to tear you down and backstab you and smile in your face and all that stuff when you do good. But just continue to, move on to the next play, on to the next game. Just not even worried about that.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Ben. He answered most of it.
Yeah, Bennett, there was a lot of missed tackles today. What was being said on the sidelines to try to clean that up?
Yeah, that was one of our main goals going into the game is we had to be good tacklers, and we certainly didn't do that today. I know it's a first game, right? That's, we show stats, and the week one is where there's the most missed tackles across all of college football, right? And we didn't do a good enough job today. They brought physicality, and, I think sometimes I don't want to say shied away from it, but many instances where we need to finish, right? 2 more steps through, whether we're leaving our feet and diving and stuff. So that's improvements that we just have to make, going into next week.
Bennett, following up, from a scheme standpoint, Georgia's obviously got some unique talent at tight end and the running back. What do they do that presents such a challenge from a scheme standpoint as you guys try to match up with them?
Yeah, they honestly today they ran. You guys saw it, just a ton of stuff on the perimeter, right? It was all out, quick screens. I think they had one deep ball right over our head, and they weren't running the ball up our throat like crazy, right? It was all perimeter screens, and so we schemed for a lot of different stuff, and when it comes down to it, we didn't play the perimeter screens well enough, and they know that, so they just kept going to it, right? And so we really just need to look at the film, take our medicine, like he said, and make those adjustments next week.
Last question, Matt.
Bennett, Alex brought it up, the so what, now what mentality that Dan has tried to instill in you guys. How important is that for this next 5 or 6 days before week 2, and what do you feel like the team is that embracing that mentality, or is it going to take some coaching from your guys, the leaders, to get that team into that mindset?
I'm sure there's going to have to be some encouraging, right, from the leaders. But overall, honestly, I really am proud of this team for the way that we have been resilient, and I think that this is another opportunity, right? It looks really bad. It looked terrible. Nobody, is going to deny that, right? But now, what can we do about it? How can we bounce back? And I think, I truly believe in this team, and I believe in our talent. And I know we have the talent, and it just takes execution, going back to the drawing board, and understanding what we got to work on.
Just heard from Bennett Williams and Alex Forsyth talking to the media in Atlanta, Georgia after the game on Saturday. Good to hear from those guys answering some tough questions. And both those guys, Coach Lanning and Bo Nix, reiterating how important it is to learn from this experience and take it back from Eugene and take your medicine while watching the film, but also realizing that, well, there's a lot of football left to be played, and I don't think Oregon, let's just say I think Oregon has a lot more to say this year, starting this Saturday against Eastern Washington, a 5:30 kickoff at Autzen Stadium. We'll get a break. Graeme Abel, the head coach of Oregon soccer, going to join us after this break, coming back to the Country Financial Studios after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union, joined by the head coach of Oregon Soccer, Graeme Abel. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good to see you here on a Monday afternoon.
Appreciate it.
Good things, bad things this weekend for Oregon Soccer, I think. Let's start with your general impressions from the weekend. A draw with Texas and then a 3-1 loss against Boise State. What'd you see? What are you taking away?
You know, I think, against Texas, played really well on the defensive side of the ball, able to manage them, with Missy Mo and Byers up top there. 2 exceptional talents, so we able to do a couple of things a little bit different within our shape just to manage those guys, and I thought we did that really, really well. And then obviously, Jordan got the goal to tie it up, and so I thought we managed that game well. The Boise State game, it came down to, they took their chances and we didn't take ours. We're looking back at the film, we created enough certainly to win the game. But the ball has to go into the back of the net. It's things we spoke about prior, and it's now, making sure we execute on that side of things. And, again, was it, looking at, we need to eliminate probably some of the individual errors and stuff that lead up to some of the goals. And so it's never one individual, it's multiple things that kind of compound on top of one another. So we'll look at those things over film, and we can fix them. They're all simple fixes, and so we can move on from there.
Against Texas in particular, and even a little bit against Boise State, I think the team came out really energized in the second half, made some adjustments, really adjusted their physicality. That, to me, has to be a good sign. That fight in the second half and the ability to process changes during a halftime break and then see those results on the field as well.
Yeah, we tried to simplify both half times for them. It's just where we're at right now. We've got a lot of players playing who don't have a whole lot of collegiate experience. So it's simplifying the message, simplifying what we need to do tactically, and keeping it pretty clear for them.
So against Texas in the 78th minute, Jordan Snyder comes through with a 78th minute goal.
Yeah.
Acted as the equalizer. What'd you see on that play? That was a great moment at Pat Bay Field.
It was awesome, you know what I mean? I think it was, we've been down there into the field for a decent amount of the half, and they tried to get out, and I think Ainsley had pushed into one of their players, so we were able to stop them from getting out right away. And then, and there's moments of transition when you win the ball. It's making the right choices right away and kind of flipping the mindset from defending to attacking. And she made a great choice to find Zoe, and Zoe's so good technically, and that with her back to goal, Zoe was able to bring it down, and she's such a good passer of the ball. That's a part of the game she's really invested in, and Jordan made the type of run we needed Jordan to make. And then it's a difficult finish. She's right in front of the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's pressing her. And having the composure in that moment just to slip it under the goalkeeper, it was a really, really cool moment for Jordan.
Yeah, and then yesterday adds another goal to her resume. Talk to me about Jordan Snyder and her story to get to this moment. A lot of hard hours of practice and earning this moment, and she came through when you called on her number.
Well, I think that's a key piece. She's earned this moment, and she's a kid who works incredibly hard. You never have to question her commitment in terms of what she's doing and doing the little extra things. She is unbelievable in the locker room, wonderful person. Won a gold medal this summer at the Maccabi Games, representing the U.S. at that event. So she's having a great year, and like I said, she's just an unbelievable person to have in the locker room, and now she's getting her rewards on the field, so she should be extremely proud of herself, because we are.
A young player in Caitlin McCullough, I thought, in the midfield, did a good job earning a few extra possessions. What did you see from her, and how did she earn this moment?
Yeah, I think whenever you start your collegiate career, it's the physical side of the game that takes an adjustment to get into. The collegiate game is a lot more physical than the club side of things, and she got a little bit of time against Texas on Thursday, and she came in as just a really well versus Boise, and started to show that she can knock it around physically as well.
So one of the big stories of the year is just the depth being challenged on this team, missing a few too many starters. Obviously, that's not how we wanted the season to go, but amidst that adversity, there have been a lot of good stories. How would you say your team has processed so many players going down and embraced that next man up mentality?
Well, I think they're only starters because people refer to the previous year. I mean, that's the piece. I mean, I think that's probably a piece that's played up in the media more than anything else. I mean,
that's my fault.
That's
really.
it. No,
people like me, it's our fault.
No, it's not your fault. That's just how it is. And we always talk about outside noise within the locker room. And what we're starting to find now is we've got multiple players that can start for us. Throughout the weeks, and we've got people stepping up all over the place, and they're starting to solidify themselves as legit starters. So it gives us greater depth, and it makes it harder for us coaches as we get later into the year, and hopefully we start getting more and more squad members back. But now we've got legitimate decisions to make. Ainsley Fink hadn't played a collegiate game before this weekend, and like I said, played against a kid at Trinity Byers who's a heck of a forward, and she was exceptional against her. Caitlin McCullough. And Parada came on yesterday and had her best performance for us yet. She played 70-odd minutes. So yes, we're missing bodies right now, but people are stepping up to the plate and they're putting in great performances, and they're giving us as a coaching staff, as the season continues to evolve, more and more things to think about and making it tough for us, which is great.
Yeah, when this team starts to get more healthy, all of a sudden you're going to have a lot of tough decisions to make, it seems like.
Yeah, and that's what we want, so which is great.
Yeah, so one piece that we in the media maybe don't focus on enough, we're so focused on the moment, what's going on in the field. I can't help but think, though, about the long-term impact of going through a period of time like this. Do you think there is a long-term benefit to what your team is going through right now?
Yeah, I think, well, number one, you've got to manage the short-term benefit, you know what I mean, and sort of the short-term piece of it, and, you've got to make sure that everyone's in a good place, and from all the different pieces. And then long term, I think it gives you some steel if you manage it the right way. It gives people playing time when maybe you wanted to kind of sprinkle them in, as things go by and start to kind of bring up to speed with things, but they're thrown in right away and they get the experience right away. So, and then again, in terms of as a coaching staff, it just gives us greater depth, and it gives us information about that depth, that known they can. And we don't play an easy schedule, so
not at all.
It's known that they can perform against different types of opponents and good opponents.
And it's not going to get any easier anytime soon, that's for sure. I did though want to focus on Boise State a little bit more. It felt like just watching that game, there were a couple of critical moments that may have not gone your way. I think I counted 3 balls to hit the post or the crossbar over throughout the game. It just felt like one of those games that those critical moments defined it, and this particular time it went to Boise State.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as a coaching staff, we look at it right away and, okay, how can we help the team convert in those critical moments? Because those games are going to come about again where we create chances, and Ultimately, that ball's got to go in the back of the net, especially some of the chances we did create, because we're looking at them being 6 to 10 yards out, and we're expecting them to go in the back of the net. So we've got to look at it as a coaching staff in terms of how can we help our team convert on those chances.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that it's going to flip the other way around. It felt like you got a little bit unlucky this particular game. Maybe that comes around. Maybe this Thursday, let's hope, against Santa Clara. Another really good program coming into Eugene, a program that has played at the highest level of women's college soccer in recent years.
Yeah, 2 back-to-back Final Fours for them, and they won it in the COVID year in 2021. And Jerry's been there a long time. I know their coaching staff really well, and so it's going to be a really tough game. But again, that's what we want. We want these good opponents at Pape, so we can test ourselves.
I'll leave you with this question, Coach Abel. What's the focus on in practice this week? What do you want to see from your team leading up to this game?
It's about us again, you know what I mean? How can we continue to be productive in the final third? I think, number one, we need to make sure we're fully recovered. Just in terms of the amount of players that we were able to play this weekend. So making sure that the legs are back, both Santa Clara and Hofstra, you know what I mean? 2 really tough opponents. And so we've got to make sure that we can set up ourselves the right way, that we can defend the right way, transition the right way when we've got the ball, value the ball. So number one, recovery is peace, and then start to look at the things where we could have improved this weekend.
He's Graeme Abel, the head coach of Oregon soccer. Thursday at 6 p.m. against Santa Clara. Then the Ducks hit the road, go to New York to play Hofstra Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. There's a link on the website if you want to watch that one. I'm expecting to see you at Pape Field on Thursday. Coach, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Always appreciate it. We'll get a break, come back, and go through the Cafe Yum 2-minute drill here on a Monday. It's Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield and the Country Financial Studio. It's time now for the 2-minute drill brought to you by Cafe Yum. A few things I want to hit on. We'll reiterate what happened with volleyball and soccer, but how about some pro Ducks getting it done? In the big leagues, let's start with Spencer Steer. First and foremost, one of my favorite Oregon baseball players that I've had the privilege of associating with. This guy has grinded through the minor leagues. He was finally called up to the bigs. He was in the lineup for the Cincinnati Reds, and let's just say he made the most out of his moment. He hit a home run, and later in the ball game, he scored the game-winning run on the Reds' walk-off. That is really cool, and here's some video of it.
See how Spencer Steer can capitalize as he hits a deep fly ball to center field. Richard going back, and Spencer Steer, welcome to the Queen City with your first Major League hit, Major League home run, and we needed it, buddy. Keep going. Congratulations.
And now they're showing the ice bath Steer received. That has got to be freezing cold as he scored the walk-off run in that ball game. Spencer Steer was a great Duck. His last season in Eugene, 2019. So we're talking about a guy that was drafted by the Cincinnati Reds in the 3rd round and then soared through the minor leagues to get that chance, and he made the most out of it. His best season, named first team All Pac-12, first team All Defensive at the 3rd base spot. Spencer Steer getting called up to the bigs. And then another Duck this weekend getting called up, another one of my personal favorites, the flamethrower Ryan Nelson getting called up by the Arizona Diamondbacks. Yeah, Ryan Nelson. He came up, he was a two-way player. He played shortstop, and well, he's getting called up to the bigs as well. I thought we had a graphic for that. There it is, yeah. Ryan Nelson called up. Really cool to see. This 2-minute drill is brought to you by Cafe M, restaurants throughout Oregon and Washington, serving Northwest-inspired catering and takeout for your next gathering or meeting. Menus at cafeyum.com. Let's once again remind you about what Oregon Volleyball just did as they enter a big part of their schedule. Oregon Volleyball with the 3-0 win, the 5-set win over Rice this past weekend. And Oregon Soccer, Oregon Soccer with a 3-1 loss yesterday against Boise State. Couple more minutes left. I want to bring on Ryan Milano here. Week 1 of college football. Ryan, safe to say it wasn't the best weekend of play for the Pac-12. Utah goes down in Gainesville. Oregon had that performance against Georgia as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the Pac-12 as a whole, you lose your 2 biggest games, the ranked teams with Utah down in the swamp, of course with Oregon, but you look around the rest of the conference, and I think that the Pac-12 pulled off some impressive wins. You look at Arizona over San Diego State. That's a big one. You look at Oregon State over Boise State. That was supposed to be a tight game. The Beavers really put it to the Broncos. So I think that the Pac-12 as a whole, it might not look great in terms of the optics, especially in the biggest games, but there are certainly takeaways for the conference where you can come away and say, okay, there were at least some tough tests that the Pac-12 came out victorious in.
Yeah, I think you identified one of those big ones. Arizona, how about the shift that program was able to go through, bringing in a Jaden DeLaura, bringing in receivers from UTEP, and that offense looked prolific. They go into San Diego State. They ruin the brand new the opener for that stadium. So Arizona looks like a team on the rise. How about Oregon State? Unfortunately, I don't love to give that ball club credit, but they did their thing against Boise State as well.
Well, let's first start off with Arizona, down in Snapdragon Stadium, which, by the way, one of the best names for a stadium in the business, Snapdragon Stadium. They ruined the opening of it, and Jaden DeLaura down under Jed Fish, this Arizona program, last year, it was Arizona hasn't had a win in multiple seasons. Now they start off their season with a victory. That's good for the Cats. And then Oregon State, of course, Oregon fans, you don't really want to be rooting for Oregon State, but it's only good for the conference, and it's only better when it gets to that rivalry game, when both teams are good and both teams are playing for something. So I think as much as you don't want to root for Oregon State, you do almost want them to be competitive when it comes into that rivalry game, because you do want to be playing for something when the Ducks and the Beavers do face off.
First win in week 1 for the Beavers since 2015. That was a year, by the way, even though they won week 1, they only had 2 wins all year. So let's hope that's a repeat performance for the Beavers. And then teams like USC and Washington doing their thing, taking care of business. UCLA, another one I'll add, against teams they're supposed to beat. But a few programs there that, well, they see action at the top with Utah losing and Oregon losing, and all of a sudden, well, they open their eyes and they feel like this conference is probably pretty wide open and anybody can grab it.
And that's exactly what it is. I think that the conference is pretty wide open, and what's interesting about the Pac-12 this season is it's not the 2 division champions who go to the conference championship game. It's just the 2 best teams by record in the conference, which opens up so many more avenues to get into that conference championship game, and it leads to the better result being had in that conference championship game. If you're a team like Oregon State or Stanford or Washington or even Cal, who's competing in the Pac-12 North, but you're probably not expected to finish above the Ducks, well, it gives you an avenue to get into the conference championship anyways. So every single game matters for these teams. It's not just, okay, do I have bowl eligibility and then I'm done. It's, well, there's an avenue to the conference championship now.
Yeah, well, looking ahead to week 2, and we'll have way more on this as the week progresses, but just some initial looks at some Pac-12 matchups. How about Wisconsin hosting Washington State, an opportunity for the Cougars to represent the Pac-12 in a big non-conference game. Cal and UNLV, an exciting game. Arizona State traveling to number 12, Oklahoma State. And then there's the intra-conference matchup between USC and Stanford, which I think is going to be more interesting than maybe people realize.
Yeah, when you look at the Pac-12 conference, I think that this year in particular, the conference has some very difficult non-conference games, especially against Power 5 teams, and a lot of games where if you're going to look at those spreads, where Oregon, or where the Pac-12 rather, is not favored. And so that leads to a much tougher test for the teams in the conference as a whole, because they're going up against some really high-quality opponents. So the wins are going to look better, but the losses are going to reflect more poorly on the conference as well.
I really am looking at that Stanford-USC game. USC struggled stopping the run. I think Stanford's going to be able to run the ball a little bit better this year. USC, a 9-point road favorite at Stanford Stadium. That's Saturday, 4:30. That's one I'm looking at. Fresno State, Oregon State, another good game coming up this weekend. We'll have much more breakdown of these Pac-12 games, and then later on in the week, Joey, Georgie, and Jerry will have their weekly Pac-12 picks. Fun show. We'll come back tomorrow. A lot more Oregon athletics talk coming. Thanks for being here with us. Ryan, Scott, Mitchell back in studio. Go Ducks.
Ready for our little forest adventure?
Yes! So much waiting for me. Yeah, I wanna go outside. I wanna be.
We're here.
Whoa, that was fast.
There's a forest closer than you think. Find a park or forest near you and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you